Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to create masks or frames. A couple of weeks ago I went to a craft fair and there was a lady there demonstrating the Tim Holt distress inks and rubber stamps, and she was using masks on the base of her cards, and this is the one that the lady actually created and gave to us. And when I got home, I thought to myself, that's something I can do on the ScanNCut in Canvas. So I've been playing around doing different ones, and I just thought I'd share how I did it. Now, one thing I would say is this is a tag, and this mask design in the background is only small. When I show you on the screen in a minute, I'm going to use a shape that's quite a big size, but I would draw your shape on the screen and size it down to roughly what you want the cutout to be, because if you create your design big on the canvas here and then try and shrink it down, all these little bits of card that are in between your design will shrink down as you shrink it down, and you might just end up with little slithers of card, which is, when you come to use it as a mask, might not be the look that you're looking for. So I'm going to close these down and we'll make a start. So I've got a blank space here on my canvas. I'm going to go into the basic shapes. I chose this hexagon down here, but for this one I'm going to choose a different shape. I'm going to use this one. And as you can see here, it's just under 4 inches. I'm going to hold my shift key down and I'm going to drag it in until it's about 1 inch. I don't want to go any smaller on the screen because you might not be able to see it properly. In fact, I'll make it 1.5 inches or thereabouts. Okay, the tools that we're going to use mostly for this are the align function, the group function, and the duplicate function. So while this shape is selected now, it doesn't really matter where it is on the page for now. I'm going to hold down my Alt key, and while holding that down I'm going to left click with my mouse and drag another one to the side. You can see I've now got 2. I'm going to select both of them. I'm going to go to Edit, Align and Bottom, and that puts them both lined up evenly. And I'm going to right click and group them, and they're one shape now. While they're selected, I'm going to hold the Alt key down again, left click and drag. Select them all again, edit, align, bottom, and while they're all selected, group. Now I've got a row of 4. I'm going to hold down my Alt key, and this time I'm going to drag a row below. And then I'm going to hold my Alt key and drag another row, and I'm going to hold my Alt key and left click and drag another row. So I've got 4 rows now. I'm going to drag an imaginary box around them all. I'm going to go to Edit, Align. I'm going to line them all up on the left so I know they all line up evenly here. And while they're all selected, I'm going to right click and group. And they're now one group. I'm going to go back up here to my basic shapes and I'm going to choose a square. I'm going to position it roughly so it's just above and to the left of the design, and then drag this out. You can make this as big as you like because this outside will just be the basis of your mask. Obviously you can actually make these to a specific size if you've an area that you want to work with, but just for the purposes of the video I'm not bothered about size. I'm just showing you how to do this, and then you can play around with it and do with it as you will. So for now I'm going to select them both. I'm going to go to Edit, Align, Center and Middle, and then these shapes are equally distributed then within this square. While they're selected, I'm going to go right click and group, And that's now one mask. So you could cut this out, it would cut out this outline, and then it would cut out these solid shapes for you. And obviously you could put that onto your scrapbook page or on the front of a card, and you could colour it in. So that's one way of doing a simple mask. Now I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to go back to that shape again, and I'm going to make this one a bit smaller, but not quite as small as it was before, because I want you to see what I'm doing. While it's selected, I'm going to go to the Create Offset Line icon. I'm going to take it right down as far as it will go to the left for now, and I'm going to go inward, and then I'm going to make it 0.08 and say OK, and see how that looks. And that doesn't look too bad. I'm going to click off, so that's deselected, and then I'm going to drag an imaginary box around them both so I know they're both selected, and by that I've got two blue dotted lines, so I know I've got two items selected. I'm going to go to divide, and then I'm just going to click in the middle and drag that one out of the way and get rid of it, and these are now one item. So while that's all selected now, I'm going to hold down my Alt key and drag a shape off to the side. But this time we want these two to overlap. So I'm just going to bring it back in a little bit. I'm just going to zoom in just a little bit so you can see. And if I click off the page, you can see I've got an overlap there. So I'm going to go back to 50% so that you can see a little bit better. I'm going to drag an imaginary box around them both. I'm going to go to Edit, Align and Bottom to make sure they're both evenly aligned. And while they're selected, I'm going to hit this first icon, which is Weld. And that welds those two shapes together. When you click on it, you know it's one complete shape now because it's only got one box. I'm going to hold the Alt key down. And while holding the Alt key down, I'm going to left click with my mouse and drag another set off, but they've got to overlap this first set. You can see they do. I'm going to drag an imaginary box around, go to Edit, Align and Bottom so they all line up, and while they're all selected, I'm going to hit Weld. And you can see that they're all welded together because we've got one box around all four objects. I'm going to hold my Alt key down and I'm going to drag a row down, but again making sure that they overlap here now. Then I'm going to select this row, Alt and drag a row down and drag another row down. I'm going to select everything and I'm going to align them all first, Edit, Align, Left, and while they're all selected, I'm going to hit Weld. And they're all now welded together. Now we have to deal with the frame on this a little bit different than the last one because we've got lines within lines. So I'm just going to put that off on the side for 1 minute. I'm going to go back up here and choose a square, and I'm just going to drag it out and make it bigger. So it's a bit taller than what I've already got there. And then while that's selected, I'm going to go to the offset button and I'm going to choose bevel because I want square corners, and I want outward, and I'm going to leave it on this 0.2 for now and say OK and see what we get. And that doesn't look too bad. So I'm going to drag an imaginary box around everything and I'm going to hit divide. And then I'm going to click in the middle and just see if I've got a duplicate. I'm going to hit delete, and if I've still got a frame, then I know that this here is an extra piece I don't need. So yes, I have, so that's fine. Now I'm going to bring this one back in and I'm going to position the frame now so that this inner line of our frame overlaps this outer edge of all these shapes. So I'm going to bring it in and I can see I've got an overlap there. I'm going to bring this one in, and I can see I've got an overlap there, and the same on the other two sides. It's got to overlap, or else when you cut it out you'll just end up with a bunch of confetti. Okay, I'm going to drag an imaginary box around everything, and while everything's selected I'm going to hit weld, and hopefully it will weld our frame, and that's our frame or mask now. So there are two ways to making them. If you're using a solid shape like this inner shape here with nothing else, like I showed you in the first part of the video, then you only need one square frame on the outside. If you're doing a shape within a shape, so making a frame within a frame if you like, you have to create this double frame on the outside so that everything welds. And if you select it, and see if we can fill it with colour, we'll fill it with black, and you can see everything that's white will cut out, and everything that's on the screen in black will remain. So I hope you found that helpful. Please like, share and subscribe. Leave me any comments if you've got any questions, and see you in the next video. Thank you.